Sir, I have very great pleasure in bringing forward this bill before the House. The creation of an All India Institute of this nature was first mooted by what is known as the Bhor Committee in their report. That committee toured all over India, went into the question of the health services in India, the means that provided those health services, ways of combating the lack of those services, and also how best we could maintain high standards of medical education and thereby promote the scientific knowledge of modern medicine in our own land with all the experience and all the clinical material available to us in our own country, in the background of our own country, including the villages, rather than send a few of our students abroad to go in for further postgraduate study. Now, this institute is going to lay primary emphasis on postgraduate studies. As I have just said, it is said that today, up till now, we have had to depend on scholarships, whether governmental or from abroad, such as the Rockefeller Foundation is good enough to give us to send a few chosen representatives of the medical profession to outside countries to get their postgraduate studies in the various limbs of the medical profession. I have always felt that it would be even much better for us if we could give the same knowledge as these young men and women acquire by going abroad in our own country. Further, we have an institute of this nature. We shall thereby be able to control the standard of education. We shall be even able to make changes in the curriculum of our medical education and thereby give not only to this country but also through our country to the world something different, something that we from our rare experiences will be able to find as we go along this explanatory path of progress. As I have often said, it has been one of my cherished dreams that an institute of this nature should come into being and that through it we may be able to serve our own people better, especially the people who live in our villages. Our educational institutions have up till now been always located in the cities. This is also being located in Delhi. You may say a city, but we are going to have village hospitals. When I refer to medical education, I refer to modern medical education. At the very outset, I would like to say that perhaps there might be a little confusion in the minds of some members of this House, as there certainly was in the minds of the members of the Lok Sabha, that because this institute is called the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, it should also include sciences other than modern medicine. I have to say that if I had not been given a very large sum of money, £1.25 million by the New Zealand government under the Colombo Plan to start an institute of modern medicine, I should probably never have been able to get our government to give me that amount of money to start with. This is not a new scheme. It has been before both houses because money for it has been budgeted over the last 4 years. There have been some delays in starting it, but there was no question ever of this institute being anything except one for developing sciences which are allied to modern medicine. Now, modern medicine includes ever so many sciences which, with the dynamic progress which this science makes, are increasing in number every day. I go further and say that what modern medicine constitutes today is the sum total of all the knowledge gleaned through all the long years lived on this earth as far as we can know, and just as I have no doubt that in the old days the Arab world called their science Unani, that is to say, they took it from Greece, and probably ancient Greece and ancient India had contacts too. I have no doubt either that modern medicine in the initial stages took a great deal from Ayurveda or that science of life as propounded by our ancients. But there is no doubt also that Ayurveda remained static. We should do all in our power now to revive Ayurveda and through Ayurveda give what is it has to give to enrich the broad stream of modern medicine which we have accepted as the basic means of giving relief to our people in this country. We cannot in this one vital science go backward or remain static or say that we will not progress with the rest of the world. Even when we were discussing the Red Cross bill, one member said that it was too modern, it was too Western. But surely, in the world in which we live, we must take everything that is good and from every part of the world. We cannot live to ourselves. Sir, almost all the newspapers in the country have spoken rather strongly against the reckless imposition of sales tax. But we find that the government have not paid any heed to the criticism made against the sales tax. On the contrary, the government have been issuing circular after circular calling upon the state governments to raise additional money by taxation, especially by imposing the sales tax. Now, as you know, even in the meeting of the National Development Council, which was held some time back, the state chief ministers pointed out that they were not in a position to raise more than rupees 300 crores by way of taxation, while the central government demanded that they should raise rupees 225 crores by way of additional taxation in their respective states, leaving aside the central taxes. Almost all the chief ministers objected to this proposal and they said that their capacity as far as taxation was concerned in their states had reached the saturation point and that it would not be possible for them at all to go beyond the limit of rupees 300 crores. We thought that these opinions of the state chief ministers would be seriously taken into account by the government, but they have not done so. And we are extremely disappointed to find in the second 5-year plan, to which I shall come later, that out of the amount of rupees 400 crores representing the uncovered gap, they want to raise rupees 300 crores by way of taxation, and I have not the slightest doubt in my mind that there will be a greater pressure on the states to impose taxes on various things. Now, as you know, the states are not in a position to impose any income tax that is beyond their jurisdiction. They can only impose certain other types of taxes, for example, the sales tax and so on. In fact, sales tax is the real thing as far as the state are concerned. Therefore, if the central government makes more and more demands on the states to find additional finances by way of taxation, it inevitably means in the circumstances that the states will be going in more and more for imposing the sales tax. Now the central government is likely to come into the picture for imposing sales tax. Sir, you might feel that since one party is in power, probably they will not be at cross purposes. But that is not going to be so because the state governments are confronted with their own problems. They are nearer as far as the people are concerned. We live in this secluded chamber away from the people, away from the masses, and well guarded and well protected by all the powers of the government. But it is difficult for the states to avoid mass demonstrations in and around the assembly house. Such things happen, and the state ministers, since they live nearer the people, are more bothered about the demands and the developments in their respective areas than the central government. And naturally, they will hesitate to impose such taxes as cause discontent among the people, and such taxes which made it difficult for the MLAs to go about in the villages or in the towns. We have seen how during the last 2 or 3 years, the state governments have not been very enthusiastic about imposing sales tax despite pressure from the central government. Not that they are at all opposed to it, They do impose taxes, but they find it difficult to do it because of very strong, healthy, and vehement opposition on the part of the public in their respective states. I understand that when government takes this power, they will take advantage of it in order to initiate sales tax on such commodities and enter interstate trade and thus obviate the difficulty which might very legitimately stand in the way of the state governments. I would like to know something about it. I hope the Honorable Minister has got my point. We would like to know from him whether they will impose any sales tax after they have got these powers, even when the governments and the people of the state oppose the imposition of such taxes. This is something we would like to know from the government. The central government has the prime responsibility for executing the plan. From this report of the Planning Commission, we know that apart from the expenditure which will be met by the states, the responsibility rests chiefly with the central government. All the financial powers are concentrated in the hands of the central government, and it is therefore the duty of the central government to find money not in this manner by encroaching on the powers of the states, by curtailing their powers, by imposing taxes like the sales tax, but from other sources such as income tax, corporate tax, and so on. They can impose these taxes.